I never imagined my world could blow apart because of one phone call. But it happened on a Friday night, when I was out back with a few of my oldest buddies. We had a fire going, cold beers in hand, and for the first time in months, I felt like life was steady again. Then, my phone lit up. Caller ID, Rachel, my wife. We'd already spoken earlier that afternoon, and everything had sounded normal. Still, something in my gut twisted when I saw her name, but I picked up anyway. "Hey, honey. What's going on?" Her tone was ice, controlled. "Don't call me that. I'm phoning to tell you I'm leaving you. Papers are ready. You'll be served Monday." She didn't even pause before swinging the next punch. And before you ask, yes, I cashed out the company. The wire already hit. I'm taking my half and moving forward with Jason. Jason, the man I'd called my business partner, a guy I thought was a brother. Her laugh was the kind that makes you bleed. "You were so wrapped up in spreadsheets and systems, Daniel, you never noticed the woman standing right next to you." Her words stung worse than the sparks flying off the fire pit. My friends stared at me, waiting for the explosion. Instead, I took a long drink, swallowed the burn, and forced my hands to stay steady. "Good for you," I said, steady as a rock. Silence. She was expecting rage, tears, something messy. But I gave her nothing. I hung up, looked around at my buddies, and kept my voice calm. "Guess it's time I head home." But deep down, I already knew. Home wasn't going to feel like home ever again. I pulled into the driveway, headlights cutting across the house I had built with my own 2 hands. That house carried my sweat and sacrifice, and now, it felt like I was pulling up to someone else's home. On the porch stood Rachel, wine glass dangling in her hand, lips curled in that smug little half-smile. Beside her leaned Jason, casual, but his body language screamed, "This is mine now." "Back already?" Rachel mocked. "That was fast. You didn't even beg." "Good to see you too, partner," I said, flat as stone. Jason smirked. "You still think we owe you a conversation?" "Not really," I muttered, unlocking the door. "I just came to collect a few things." "You're not gonna cause a scene, right?" Rachel teased, swirling her wine. "Why would I? You already sold everything." "Exactly," she grinned. "And it's airtight. Clean contracts, binding signatures. Jason's lawyer has it all handled." Jason leaned in, grin cutting deep. "Assuming you don't waste your half drowning in beer." They both laughed. Their laughter echoed through the walls I had built. Inside, the house looked ransacked, my office stripped, the safe pried open, even my father's watch gone. I clenched my jaw, walked back into the living room, and let my eyes rest on them. The vultures were circling, but they had no idea the carcass was empty. "Just one question," I said, voice sharp. "When exactly did you sign the sale contract?" Rachel's smirk faltered. 2 days ago." "Why?" I twisted open a cold bottle of water, letting the silence drag out like a noose. "Because 3 days ago I transferred every piece of intellectual property and software rights into my name. Quiet, legal, fully documented. Rachel, you sold an empty shell." Her glass nearly slipped from her hand. Jason's grin cracked. I pulled a folded paper from my jacket and set it on the counter. "This is a notarized transfer agreement. The product, the back end, the analytics Jason bragged about, all mine. Your buyer, he just paid for a house with no foundation." Rachel's hands shook as she snatched the document, scanning it with frantic eyes. This can't be true," she whispered. I tilted my head, watching her crumble. "No, you were too busy sneaking around with him." And just like that, her cocky smile died on the spot. For the first time, they realized they weren't the predators. They were the prey. The next morning, I walked into the glass tower of Price and Walton Holdings. Marble floors so clean they could cut you. This was the empire Rachel thought she'd sold my life's work to. The receptionist spotted me instantly. "Mr. Carter, Mr. Price will see you now." Moments later, I was led into a boardroom that felt more like a shark tank, and Gregory Price sat at the head, pen already in hand. "You're here about the acquisition," he said, not wasting breath. "Yes," I replied, sliding a leather folder across the table. "Before your lawyers finish due diligence, you'll want to see this." His brow furrowed as he flipped through the papers. Asset transfers, patent ownership, licensing agreements. "So what you're telling me," he muttered, jaw tight, "is I bought a company with zero infrastructure?" "Exactly. Every line of code, every customer record, every tool belongs to me." "And your wife didn't know?" I smirked. Rachel never cared about the details. She only cared about the finish line. Price leaned back, tapping his pen. The weight of millions hung in the silence. "Then I assume you're here with a solution." "I am," I said. "You can license it back for triple the original purchase price." His eyebrows shot up. "Triple?" "Call it tuition," I said coldly. "The cost of ignorance and betrayal." He studied me for a long moment, then exhaled. "You're ruthless." "Just prepared," I answered. "Something my ex underestimated." "You've got yourself a deal." By the time I stepped back onto the street, the ink was already drying on a new contract. Meanwhile, across town, Rachel and Jason were still sipping mimosas, basking in what they thought was their triumph. Then Rachel's phone buzzed. First email: Gregory Price, terminating acquisition. Assets fraudulent. Legal review pending. Second email: IRS. Accounts frozen for investigation of suspicious transfers. Her glass shattered against the porch. "No, this can't be real." Jason's face twisted. "What the hell did you do?" She bolted upright, panic breaking through the smug mask. "I'm going to find him, now." But by the time she came looking for me, the trap was already closed. By the time Rachel tracked me down, I was sitting in a glass-walled co-working suite, calmly finishing the last clause of my new deal with Price's firm. Her fists pounded against the glass, drawing stares from strangers. "Daniel, open this damn door." I didn't. Not yet. I let her rage echo while I typed my final line, smiled at the receptionist, and finally pressed the unlock button. She stormed inside, makeup smeared, eyes wild. "What did you do? You destroyed everything. My accounts are frozen. The deal is collapsing. Price's lawyers are threatening me with fraud." I looked at her. "The woman I married vanished the day you chose Jason over loyalty." "You sabotaged yourself, Rachel," I said coldly. "I just gave gravity a little nudge." Her voice cracked with desperation. "You want revenge? Fine. You got it. But give me something back. Half the deal. My share. Anything." I walked to the filing cabinet, pulled out a sealed envelope, and set it in her trembling hands. She ripped it open like it was her last lifeline. But instead of salvation, she found a copy of the prenup she'd signed 5 years ago, back when she swore money didn't matter. Bold black ink screamed the truth. Any business assets founded or developed by Daniel Carter prior to or during the marriage shall remain his sole and undisputed property. Her face drained. This wasn't in the version I saw." "That's because Jason made sure you never saw the final draft. I kept the signed copy, and the notary filed theirs too." She stumbled back, whispering, "You're lying." "Check with your lawyer," I said. Then came the knock. 2 agents in uniform, badges flashing. "Rachel Carter, you're being served. IRS and civil fraud proceedings." Her eyes snapped to mine, horror breaking across her face. "You turned me in?" "No," I said with a bitter smile. "Your name was on the fraudulent contract, not mine." And in that moment, the empire she tried to steal crumbled to dust at her feet. Rachel didn't surrender quietly. She hired another lawyer, then a PR team, then a crisis manager who promised miracles. But when the truth hit daylight, nothing could save her. The business world feeds on scandal. Screenshots of her emails with Jason, leaked online messages where she bragged about bleeding me dry and flipping the company like second-hand junk. Headlines exploded, from CEO to scandal. The woman who tried to steal it all and lost everything. Even Jason bailed. When Gregory Price's firm demanded damages, he threw Rachel under the bus, saying she orchestrated everything. She was left facing lawsuits, a full IRS audit, and the humiliation of watching her empire collapse into rubble. The smug smile she once wore turned into a hollow stare. Meanwhile, I rebuilt. Price's team offered me a consulting contract, but I turned it down. I didn't want their mess. Instead, I started fresh, leaner, sharper, mine alone. The licensing deal had already set me up for life. But the real treasure wasn't money. It was peace. No more walking on eggshells. No more doubting the person beside me. One evening, I sat in a quiet coffee shop, finalizing a proposal with someone real Emma. We'd met months earlier at a small tech conference. She was grounded, brilliant, and she never needed to make me feel small just to feel big. That's when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Against my better judgment, I looked. "Daniel, it's me. Please, I have nothing left. I made a mistake. Just talk to me." Her voice, once so sharp, now cracked with desperation. For a moment, the old weight tried to creep back into my chest, but then I pressed block. I never saw her again. Sometimes people whispered about a woman hanging around courthouses, clothes faded, eyes dulled with regret. And at networking events, strangers would lean in and ask, "Hey, aren't you the guy whose ex tried to steal everything and lost it all?" I'd just smile. No, I'm the guy who saw it coming and let gravity do the rest.